If you are a big touring professional, would changing companies after 10 years for a quote-unquote new start or quote-unquote sounded fun be the mentality, or would it simply be for the money?
No, I think the fresh start thing would work. I can say that though. It is tough because like I value loyalty. I'm a very loyal guy. So like I could see myself getting into a place, because you do see this a lot with certain companies where you get into that long of a relationship and like it feels like your family, and it'd be tough to like, I think it's easy to say, yeah, I'd want the fresh start and the new contract, but it would be tough to like leave those people that were like your family, especially if they were like with you from the beginning. But from an outside perspective, somebody who hasn't been in that situation, I would say, yeah, I think it would be super fun. Imagine, like, I know Anthony Barella just went through this where, like, your whole career, you're throwing rocks, destroyers, T-birds, and firebirds. Your whole career. And it's just
and he's young, too, so it just means his whole life, basically.
Yeah, like, that's it. And then all of a sudden, you switch companies, and it's like, whoa, like, I'm going to try out this disc, and I'm going to throw this disc. Like, it would be just rejuvenating and make disc golf more fun.
I think that mentality comes once the money's there. Where it's like, I'm like locked in, right? No, I'm Eagle McMahon. No one's taking me from Discmania. We're family, you know. And then you get a contract that's like that Discmania either isn't going to match or won't match, and you're like, you know, it would kind of be fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you're not just going to go for nothing.
I don't think it's like, I don't think it's necessarily that's your first mindset of like, I'm sitting there.
It happens
like,
after.
Now, it might be, for Eagle, it could be a little different because he watched Simon do it and got to see how fun Simon had building his bag. But I do think, like, if I'm AB at Innova, I got to watch Paul do it. If I'm Paul at Innova,
if there's anything,
I think a lot of times it's like that contract money is like, makes you at least think. And then you start thinking of like, well, you know, I've thrown like someone's buzz once before. It would be kind of fun.
And I am a huge advocate for just scrapping your entire bag and starting over.
Don't even. We're not getting into that.
There is a whole conversation before we hit record. that is what he's referring to. But I also think that it would be really fun. Hunter mentioned this also before he started recording, that like scrapping your whole bag and then going and being like, well, I got to find 25 new discs and like figure out how they fly. It makes me think of whenever Paul first switched to Discraft, he had that series of building the bag videos where he would, like, the first one was putters, then mid-ranges, then drivers, and he would just go out to a field with like all of Discraft's most popular, or just all of their discs, because it wasn't necessarily most popular. And it was so fun to watch him throw a fairway driver, not really having any idea what it does other than flight numbers, which are a lie, and like throwing them and being like, wow, this one actually did this. I kind of like that. I'm going to have to throw that again. That just seems like a lot of fun to me, especially if like you've been at one company for so long. And it's not like if you're sponsored by Innova your whole life, it doesn't mean you don't throw any other discs. You just don't. Not
depends on the company
competitively.
Because like if you're with Trilogy, it's going to take you a lot longer to sift through everything. Or
yeah, that
especially because you like go throw it in a field and be like, wow, that disc was nice, and then it hits a tree and you're like, wait, what happened?
What happened?
I've been burned, man. I've been burned by Lucid Plastic before. I got wounds. The fuse is great. I love the fuse. It's in my bag. So
well,
that's pretty bold of you to come after House of Disc like that.
I'm healing. I'm healing right now. I'm in a mending period with it, but I've been burned before.
I also like. I feel like if I was with
you've had that Verdict in your bag for a while.
I have. The Verdict and the Fuse have hung around. They're there.
Yeah, that's impressive. The
and I mean, I throw the MD3.
Yeah,
that is so true. Not really Trilogy, but I mean,
well, it's Italian.
It's Italian.
Well, it's House of Discs.
I feel like if I was with Innova after long enough, like I would be like, okay, you know what? Maybe this year I'm going to toss a Savant in the bag. Like this year I'm going to throw a Corvette in the bag.
Like Paul did that to a certain extent. I think
he pushed the mold a little bit.
He was a lot of it. I think because he knew if he ever wanted to get his name on discs, it's going to help if he was actually throwing them. And like the T-Bird was taken, the Destroyer was taken. You know what I mean? But like because the Thunderbird, he like pushed it. He did take the Destroyer eventually, but at the time he was
right
because he pushed the crate for a little bit. He even got his name on the crate, I think. But the Thunderbird, he even didn't throw the Firebird. He went as far as to throw the Monster.
For a bit there, yeah.
Like he was a very much because
smart.
Innova loved him, but the Innova collector market, a lot of it was like Paul's ruining the collector market because he's taking the T-Birds and making the Thunderbird more popular.
Hasn't been
That's
the same
so
since.
crazy to think about.
Yeah.
That like the Thunderbird just like wasn't popular.
It didn't even really exist.
Yeah.
Everyone just threw T-Birds and then Paul just changed.
Yeah.
Because like everyone just threw Rock, Leopard, T-Bird, Destroyer was like it. So everyone threw. But then Paul was just like, meh. Because even he didn't even really throw a Leopard. He went like T-Bird 3.
Yeah,
Yep.
he did go T-Bird 3.
Yeah.
Yup.
That's
so it
crazy.
just changed it.
Gave me a real identity crisis trying to figure out how to get a T-bird to be beat enough.
I know.
Flippy.
Yeah, that was the most painful thing that
It
modern
is
disc golfers
awful.
won't know is everyone telling you T-bird straight, and then you go out and discover this is a Firebird.
Yeah,
How is
beefy.
everyone throwing straight? And you realize they've had that disc for 13 years.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ordered a Champion T-Bird off of Amazon. And I remember the first time I got it and throwing it out and just thinking like this disc must suck. I must have got some kind of bad disc or something. And then
Yeah.
went to play it again and bought another one and it did the same thing.
See, I just thought I sucked.
And I didn't get rid of them.
I just thought I sucked. I was cycling T-birds that were all really overstable because I wanted to cycle T-birds like all my favorite.
No,
pros.
I had like 4 T-Birds in my
Yeah,
bag.
and they
they
all
all
were
were super overstable, but I wouldn't stop throwing them.
I just told myself, no, this one flips a little.
I'm just so thankful that eventually I stumbled upon falling in love with Discmania throwers, and the FD was introduced to me. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, a disc that actually goes
Actually
straight.
goes straight.
And that pros
The
throw.
only person I've ever seen Heiser flip a T-bird that was brand new was David Wiggins Jr.
I feel like,
And he was
and he threw it nose
360'd
up into the
through-
sky.
Yeah, he 360'd nose up into the sky, and I watched a brand new T-bird Heiser flip and basically roll.
That's crazy.
That hurt.
I feel like that was like the biggest thing that we were susceptible to when we were getting up in disc golf was like the idea of you needed to have 5 of the same mold, and like we never were able to cycle them. Like, what is like the equivalent? Like, what are the young disc golfers now? What's their trap? I feel like it's the need to have all specialty discs.
Yeah, special
like
stamps.
signature discs, like signature blends.
I think it's
people get obsessed with that.
I think
I didn't
went
care
the
about
other route. I think it's like they need a mold to cover every shot in their bag,
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of letting one mold cover multiple.
Very
Which, to
much
be
so.
fair, is a totally fun way to play disc golf.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
less psychopathic than the way we were doing.
But I think
Even
it makes
pros
it,
are
it
doing
makes
that
you
more
worse,
now,
though, I
though.
think.
I would
Because
say
you go out and now I have like analysis paralysis where instead of, it's an overstable approach shot, my only option is throwing a Firebird softer. It's like, well, I could go zone. I could go zone OS. I also have this pilot's a little overstable.
Yep.
Or I
That can
could go
happen.
up to my MX1. Like, that's just my bag. And I try to be
You're
simple.
talking to a guy that's got 3 shamans in his bag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, Brody's got 5 zones.
Shaw, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think that's just a modern day thing.
But
where,
it's
before,
definitely-
before when I was like when you had just a bunch of KC Pro rocks, like one's gonna flip a little more than the other, but they weren't like different molds. You weren't like deciding.
The only upside is obviously the replaceability. Of,
that's definitely
that's
the
that's
benefit.
the big upside. But mold minimalization, there are benefits to it for sure.
Let's be honest, though. One of the most addictive parts of disc golf is losing a disc that you absolutely love. No one loses a disc that they've been beating up for a year and thinks, I'm ready to quit disc golf. It makes you so mad, but it, for some reason, makes you love disc golf more.
I agree.
You know, like you just have that feeling where
That's
like,
why I
no,
always wanna put my
no,
bag
dude,
on the
I'll
line.
never have a disc that flies just like that against me. It take me so long to get another rock to fly
I'm
like
gonna
that.
have to throw a new disc for so many rounds to get it to be. I love that.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta build history
I don't-
again.
I don't. Yeah, I can't really identify.
I
with
love that.
But it doesn't make you want to quit.
No.
Like you
That's
get
what I'm
I
saying.
get excited about the opportunity to put a new MD3 in and like be upset it's not flipping for a few months.
like
like that just is electric.
Have an excuse.
Yeah, like throw it on Heisberg. Oh man, remember that old one that used to flip?
I will
that's-
say, like,
I love
that
that.
is
Just make up
definitely-
stories about that old. That's what I do about my McPro Rock 3. I'm like, oh dude, that one was so perfect. I'd get Heiser flip turnover out there at 380 feet.
Yeah,
It's like,
I could
that's an
throw my
exaggeration.
old MD3s 500 on a frozen rope, and this one only goes 310. I
That
don't know what
is
happened.
funny. Like I would do the same thing where it's like if I lost a beat-in rock, for example, I wasn't gonna do it the right way and like put in a new rock, but put it in a different slot. That was that same rock to me. I was just gonna force it until it beat in enough.
That's funny.
I used to take
This is the dumbest thing ever.
my MD3s because I tried cycling Rock 3s, but I just wasn't a super beated
Not for the
mid-range
meager
guy.
at heart.
I took the MD3, and if I had one that like flipped that I needed to replace, I would just go to my parents' backyard and there's like a brick wall, and I just chucked it at it.
I did that a
over
couple
and
times.
over and over.
I
and
did it.
over.
I don't
I
usually have
did
the
the
heart
rock
for it,
thing
though.
like I did it the actual way. Like that's like one of the most solid things about my game back then was one, I was actually very good at throwing KC rocks. Now I can't throw one to save my life. I don't know why, but I will still try. But I used to be really good at it, and I genuinely had 6 rocks in my bag. 2 were premium plastic, and then 4 were either flat top KC or McPro Rock 3, same thing. And once I lost one, I would shift them all over, and I would genuinely like cycle them out and add in a new KC rock for my overstable one. I did it the right
much
way.
fun.
Have your hands gotten drier?
What?
Like modern day Connor, are your hands drier now than they were?
My hands have just always been
They've
so
always
dry.
been really dry.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that's why you
never
like
get to
struggle
the
with
bottom
it
of
before.
it.
Maybe.
Because like why I love my
No,
hands
I've
have
always had to
been-
breathe into my hand before I
That's
throw
it.
a
My
rock.
hands have always been like a little moister and sticky, and that's why I love KC plastic.
Yeah.
Same.
It's like I can just grip it, and it like
Yeah.
my hand doesn't. But for you, I feel like it would just slide.
I love
I'm putting
KC
a 10
plastic.
time in my bag.
I love KC plastic because I loved Paul McBeth.
That's very fair. And that's what KC stood
I like it
for.
because it clickety
Yeah.
clacks.
Ken-
Call
Ken Mc-
kick Beth.
I like the way
Paul Kickmath.
I like the way it clickety clacks when you hold 4 of them and they clickety
Yes,
clack
dude.
together.
Yeah,
I-
no, that we're gonna get back to the topics here in a second.
ASMR.
But people's in the bags when they'd pull out a stack
Uh-huh.
of KC Pro
I
rocks
love
and
doing
like
that,
start
dude.
going through them.
I would.
Wow.
Listen, you're not a real disc golfer if you don't do like in the bags for your friends every once in a while.
I used to do
you
that
know,
in my
like you got to
basement.
sit and you're like your group of friends that you play disc golf with
Yeah.
every once in a while. You'd be like, all right, let's hear an in the bag.
No, I
Each go through it.
genuinely think it's a good practice before a like tournament or like if you're trying to be actually
To
good at
think
disc
about
golf,
your bag.
to like go through a like mental in the bag.
Try to
I would like
talk
sit
sense
down and
into
like
it.
no and like make sure because like I would sit down before like a collegiate event and I would go through and be like, okay, putting putters, whatever, throwing putter. Here's a flippy one. And then I'd be like, okay, wait a second. No, I actually don't have a flippy putter.
Yeah.
Like this one's actually
Yeah.
neutral, and I like
Yeah, check yourself.
that would be, and I'm missing this slot in my bag, and I would
Mm-hmm.
discover it because I would like go through each disc in my bag and try to explain to myself what does it actually do.
And then you go to the tournament booth that's selling discs, and then you find a flippy putter.
Place
Yeah,
it.
and I'm like, hey guys, I found out I don't have a flippy putter. What do you got for me?
It's always so much fun. We have really gone down the hole on this
It's
conversation.
okay. That's why it's called Grip Lock.
But
We had to give everyone enough time to buy their Connor horse merch.
It's true.
one of my favorite things also is whenever you would go with a group of friends. I had a group of friends that I played disc golf with every single day, like my junior and senior year of high school, like every single day. And I was so bloodthirsty obsessed with it that it didn't matter if it was raining or anything. I was playing disc golf. You guys all understand. We've all been there. And most people listening right now are probably at that point, and that's amazing. But it was so much fun where you go play around in the rain, and then you come back and you're all hanging out, and you're like, well, I have to lay my discs out to dry. And so you're all just like taking all of your discs out and drying them. They're all scattered across the floor. And then you look around and you just have like a living room full of discs. Such a great feeling, dude.
Did y'all ever bathe your discs?
Yes.
Yeah, great time. I'd get home from
No
like
hesitation. Yep.
I'd get home from like a brawl.
Yeah.
Blue Ridge Area Winter League is what that stood for.
Yeah.
Realize people don't know what that is.
I'd get home from a brawl.
Basically, cold winter
It'd just
tournament.
be cold winter, muddy, cow pies everywhere, and you'd get back and your discs are just.
I would wash them.
Gross.
I just wash them in my sink in my dorm room.
Oh, I just went and dumped my bag in the bathtub,
I didn't
filled
have
it
a
up,
tub.
and then I would like use. I think I used dish soap. I'd spray some dish, squirt some dish soap in there, and just.
Yeah.
And then I would get them out and just dry them off,
Just
So much
like a
fun,
little
dude.
baby. I
Yep.
cared for him so much. Now I don't give two fricks. That's the evolution,
Hey,
man.
disc golf just evolves, and you start to enjoy it in a different way.
Yeah.
True
So
dats.
fun, though.